a lot of people understand about agriculture and the way that bees work if in beekeeping and pollination if you're a farmer. But there are a lot of farmers that actually don't get this, okay? You know, a lot of farmers will look into the high ticket sales of fertilizer and solutions of fertilizer, and let's put in pesticides. All of that's going to increase, you know, tilling the land and all this sort of thing. All of that's going to increase the yield. But you know what? Listen to what bees can do. Just having a couple of hives in your field, right? It's a bit more complicated than that, but listen to this, right? There's a difference just by having a number of bees, anywhere between 2 to 6 hives per hectare, depending on the crop, all right? Anywhere in a range of 11% increase in yield. Now, we're not even talking fruits here, if we're talking fruit crops. This is just yield alone, all right? 11% is the low end, right? To a 300% increase in certain crops and fruits. Okay. Now, if you go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/bewareZA, right, you'll be able to pick up. You can search back in there all the pollination, a lot of the pollination posts that I've created over time, and go find the one that gives you a 300% increase in yield. All right. It's 100. It goes from 50 kilograms per tree. I'm giving you a hint here, to 150, up to 150 kilograms per tree yield by having 6 hives per hectare on that orchard. Okay, that's phenomenal. That's the power of bees. Okay, in the food industry, in the food sector. A couple of other ones. Almonds. 92% of the world's almonds are produced in America and California, and there are millions of colonies that get used there every year. Now, yeah, you know, there's a lot of debate about the almond industry and pesticides and insecticides and the amount of bees that get lost. I mean, I know of some people in America that are doing 25,000 colonies. You know, they truck them in on 12 to 15 flatbeds and they move them in for the almonds. Phenomenal. But it's got to be quite sort of, you know, it's a commercial operation. It's got to be pretty hectic. You're going to lose bees. You're going to lose bees anyway. You know, when you get into beekeeping, please don't underestimate the determination you're going to need. You're going to be determined. You're going to need to be as determined and passionate as bees are for their survival in the time that from the time that you become a beekeeper. Okay, it's one of those things. Don't ever kid yourself that beekeeping is going to be easy. All right, it's not easy. But what I tell you what, it's rewarding. It's absolutely phenomenal. A couple of other ideas, a couple of other insights into the agricultural, what is best, what you can do best with bees, and how they can be successful for you and for themselves. Obviously, you need to keep in mind that we talked about pesticides and insecticides earlier, right? If you're going to do pollination, please, please, please do us and the bees and the farmers and everybody a favor and really identify farmers that are not using GMOs and that are not using pesticides. And it doesn't matter if the farmer tells you that whoever the company is, Monsanto, Bayer, whoever the people are that have sold them bee-friendly insecticides, they're not bee-friendly, okay? They're not, no, the insecticide can't tell the difference between a bee and a not bee, all right? It's an insecticide. It's going to kill the bees. And if any of those bees make it back to your hive with any honey from the pollen or the nectar from that crop, guess what? It's in your hive now as well. And it's in the food stuff you're going to sell to consumers. Avoid that with a barge pole, okay? Moving on. Canola, rapeseed, that crop is pretty much grown all over the place. You can get anywhere from a 13 to 46% increase in yield. What is that going to be value? You know, what value is that to a farmer? What value is that to us as consumers? I mean, we've got a lot of people are ignorant, completely ignorant to any of this kind of stuff. But can you imagine the difference? You know, when people cry about, and there are people that starve around the world, don't get me wrong. But when people say that there's not enough food in the world, and there's starvation, and there is starvation, that there's not enough food production, we need to up the insecticides, we need to up the GMOs, you know, we need the yield. Actually, all you need to do is use bees, man. Just use bees. That's the power of bees. Food, more food, food security, okay? Sunflowers. Right. Sunflowers are phenomenal, right? I mean, in South Africa alone, the last time I checked, we have something like 600,000 hectares. We're the 10th biggest producer. We were the 10th biggest producer in the world. And you can get a 30% increase in yield on the number of seeds per sunflower head. All right. The amount of, for the farmer alone, the benefit on that is phenomenal. The economic benefit on that is phenomenal. Just the food chain. It's just, yeah, go away and think about that. And put it into practice. The only thing about sunflower, if you're doing pollination, right, and you are likely to get some honey, but the idea of having pollination is that you overpopulate the area in order to make the best case scenario for a number of seeds pollinated or number of flowers or whatever it is pollinated, so there's an excess of bees to the amount of forage available. That's the idea. That's the concept behind offering a pollination service, which is one of the industries you can go into in the agricultural sector. Okay, it's quite lucrative. It's not easy, but it's lucrative, and it usually needs an economy of scale. It's not normally at hobby level, which is say 15 hives and lower. You should be economy of scale requires that works better if you're at least say 30, 40, 50 hives, at least at least in bigger agricultural countries. But the sunflower honey does crystallize within about 3 weeks, and it goes pretty hard. It goes like it goes pretty hard. It goes harder than peanut butter consistency, basically. And it doesn't last very long if you've got it as a liquid, if you've got it in big containers. So just be aware of that. If you are doing pollination, you are going to get some honey, but it's not the idea. That's why beekeepers that are pollinating charge for pollination, because the idea is that you're not supposed to get, or don't usually get, an excess of honey production because there's too many bees for the area, right? Another quick example is plums, and then we're going to move on to some of the other industries, the more sort of under the radar, industries that people don't know about, right? That I've learned about over the last 15, 16 years. So you guys are really getting to know some of the real deep secret side of bees, okay, right here as well, the powerful hidden side of bees, right? And I hope you're enjoying it so far. I'm loving this. It's phenomenal to be able to share my passion with you guys. I hope you can see it coming through to you as well. But plums are another example. You can get twice the amount of yield per tree, okay? Not as good as that crop I mentioned earlier on, but I'm giving you a bit of a hint here. Fruit set, if you can believe it, you get a 50% increase in fruit set. So what does that mean? That means if your plums are usually that size, they're 50% bigger now. Phenomenal, okay? And you're getting twice the amount of fruit on a tree. What's not to like, right? You just got to make sure that the tree is not too heavy that it starts breaking branches, right? All right, so that's a little bit about the agricultural industry in a very summarized way, okay? And we talk a bit more about this on our intermediate courses that we hold in Midrand, and I'm going to give you a bit of a surprise a bit later at the end of this, that if you're not in the local area, you can't come. Well, we're all in lockdown at the moment, but if you can't normally come to our courses in Midrand, then we've got a bit of a surprise for you at the end of the session today. But plums was the last thing we were on. Right, other industries.